This is INCRadio, DZEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ, or Iglesianicristo.
Sure to read them throughout the show. Back to you, Sister Macy.
Welcome back to another episode of Explore Mountain States.
That's it for the weather
and
update.
Moving on to our district news update.
Only here
on INCRadio Mountain States.
Hello. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. You're tuning in here live to INCRadio Mountain States. Welcome. Happy Saturday to all of those here in the West Coast, and a good morning, happy Sunday to those waking up in the east side of the world. It is currently December 7, 4:03 p.m. Pacific time, which means it is December 8, 7:03 a.m. in the Philippines. We're excited to have you all here to join us today. Thank you for tuning in. Again, this is INCRadio Mountain States, and I'm your host for today, Sister Princess Persona, broadcasting live from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm really excited for this topic because we've been wanting to have this for quite some time, and I know that in the future we're going to have requests to have more topics similar to this because we do have some brethren in Mountain States who would love to share their insights. Thankfully, we have a beautiful panelist who will be here to share her insights for today. And if you didn't already know what the topic of today's broadcast is, it is preparing for your dream job, or really any job, any career. So we wanted to make sure that we take the time to talk and discuss with you, with our panelists, with everyone here today about tips on how to create and build strong resumes, and even tips on how to interview confidently, because landing your dream job or your dream role starts with good preparation. So that really does mean making sure that your resume is strong and that you do work on your confidence, especially when you're interviewing, right? Your presence is important there. And so in this episode, we will be sharing a lot of tips on crafting an impressive resume and leaving a lasting impression on potential employers. So of course, they want you to stay tuned and stay engaged for practical advice so that we can guide you on your career journey or whatever journey you're on regarding pursuing your career, pursuing your dream role. So thank you for all of those, again, who are tuning in. So if you are watching on YouTube, make sure you like this video, you hit that notification bell so that you get a ping anytime we are having a broadcast. And don't forget to subscribe to our INCRadio DZEM 954 channel. And so, and also leave your comments and your greetings with your hashtag local congregation. That way we can give you a shout out. Thank you for watching, acknowledge you, and listen to your insights as well throughout the show so that you can give advice if you have any, or even share your experiences with your career journey or the path that you're on, or how you've been able to navigate successfully in preparing for your career. So, of course, we want to also keep engaged with you, and we want to ask you just a little fun question. Personally, I want to know what all of you were thinking of becoming when you were a kid. So when you were a young child, what did you want to be when you were growing up? So tell us what your dream job was growing up. Tell us if you've been able to navigate towards it, or if you shifted your career goals. And so we do want to just give a quick hello to Brother Ron and Sister Macy, if they have time to say hi. They are on the show with us. Can we give a quick hello if you're available, Bot?
Hello, everyone.
And then there's Dr. Macy, the beautiful. She's just working her earbuds. I can see her getting her mic set up. Okay, she's all set. Hi, Dr. Mace. How are you?
Hi, how are you, everyone? Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening. I'm so sorry. I was trying to wait until I could hear you guys. Now I could hear you.
No worries, Ate. We're glad to have you on the show with us. Also share your insights when navigating and preparing for your career. For now, we do want to know what is going on in the district. There's many activities we'd love to share with you for those who are not in our district and don't know what's going on. So let's see with What's Up Mountain States.
What's up, Mountain States?
All right, what's up, Mountain States? Right here, you see we had the blood donation. This was spearheaded by CMDPS. And so, of course, brethren are always willing to donate their blood for those who need it. Here's Sister Glenda. This was held at the Las Vegas Chapel. Those are two of our district presidents, Brother Brian and Brother Mark. And, you know, it's always a fun time. I don't know if anybody or who's tuning in has ever donated blood. The first time is a little daunting because the needle's quite large. But once you do it a few times, it's just like getting your shot, right? And so if you ever have the chance to, please donate your blood. I know that they're always in need, and this was a great opportunity for us to be able to gather together, not only just, you know, as brethren and strengthening our faith, but doing it for a good cause. Right here is the Arizona region that we're looking at right now, being able to also conduct this activity. This was conducted in the local congregation of Las Vegas and in the Nevada region, and Phoenix for the Arizona region. So thank you to all of those who were able to come along to this activity and donate blood. And the next one we have here is the Youth Summit, and this was held in every single congregation throughout the district. It was a video prepared by our central administration, and so if you haven't gotten the chance to watch this, please approach your local officers, especially those in the Binhi and Kadiwa organizations. For our youth, it's a very inspiring video. Not inspiring, but not just inspiring, but also insightful on how we should live as youth members in the church, navigating especially with what is going on currently in the society. And then we also have a book club special gathering. This is something we would like to promote. This will be held tomorrow, December 8th, on a Sunday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Mountain time. And it's going to be held in the local congregations of Henderson, Albuquerque, Colorado Springs, Denver, Phoenix, Tucson, and Salt Lake City. So for all of our book loan members, or those who are married, please make sure that you take the time to attend the special gathering. It is, of course, curated for all of you. Moving forward with our discussion, of course, we want to take time to introduce our panelist who's with us today. Sister Angela, hello.
Hello, Sister Princess. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me today.
We're so excited to have you. I have a high energy. I'm excited to have you here. So, Sister Angela, you know, we were talking a little before the show. We were talking about why I brought you on. So could you introduce yourself, tell us your congregation, and then tell us why we decided to bring you here on the show?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Sister Angela Mendez from the local congregation of South Las Vegas. Just a little background about my work experience. So I work in the field of clinical research, specifically within data management, meaning I handle the database systems for clinical studies. So in order to get there, I had to go through a lot of different positions to kind of like find my way to that niche. And in doing that, I not only went on a lot of interviews, but as I gained more experience, I started to actually conduct interviews for my growing team. So I've been on both sides of the interview process, both as a candidate many times and then also as the interviewer. So I'm excited to share my experience and some of the lessons that I've learned in hopes that it will help someone out there.
I know it will help a lot of us out there. You know, a few shows ago, I finally opened up and shared with our audience members that I had shifted my career and that I'm in a new field. And Sister Angela is one of those who was very valuable in preparing me to do my interviews and helping me revamp my resume. So this is why I feel like she's such a valuable asset to what we're going to be discussing today. So thank you for joining. I know that Ate Macy will also have insight whenever she gets the chance to share. I don't know if Ate Macy are okay if I tell them what you do, but I know you are an account director. Is that correct, Ate? Yes, yes. And so I'm sure that there were many interviews that you also had to go through and preparation you had to take to be able to get to where you are now in your career. And so I'm excited. And Brother Ron was successful when he worked for the city. He's now successfully retired. So we have some great panelists here. And please also watch out in the chat to see what Ate Mylene is talking about, because she is in the chat. We have a lot of people here to give their insight and to also stay engaged with us. I just want to give a quick shout out to Ka Anthony Arangai. He was our first commenter. So shout out to you, Ka Anthony. Thanks for joining. We have Brother Andrew. He's saying hello from Virginia, the District of Virginia, from the local congregation of High Point. That's cool. Thanks for joining, Brother Andrew. We have Brother Mario from the Philippines, from Brixtonville in Caloocan North. Caloocan, my mom's there right now. Hi, Mom. And then we have Sister Lorena. She says, hello mga kapatid. Happy viewing po sa lahat. And Ate Ina, Domingo, Ate Janice. So hello to all of those tuning in. Okay, we're gonna go straight into our topic discussion because we have a hefty amount of things to cover and talk about. So Sister Angela, this is gonna be a lot of focus with you and me having our discussion, and we'll chime in if Ate Macy would ever like to chime in, of course. So when you're preparing for your role, what is the importance of a strong resume?
Great question, Sister Princess. Let me start with this question first. Do you know how long a recruiter or hiring manager spends on average reviewing a resume before deciding whether or not to move forward?
At first I thought it was a long time, and then I heard that they don't even spend more than 2 minutes on it, right?
Yeah, it's 6 to 8 seconds. So what that means is your goal in creating a strong resume is to deliver a high impact in a short amount of time. So being concise and really tailoring your resume to the job description is going to be key, because in 6 to 8 seconds, I'm going to make a decision on whether or not you're going to be a good fit to interview, or if you're going to be worth spending time to get to know, to see if you're a good fit for the role. So what should jump out from your resume, even if you have a whole bunch of experience, is the experience that caters most to what the job description is looking for. So again, being concise and tailoring your resume, highlighting the skills that are applicable to that job description is going to be key.
Interesting. So when we're talking about what really is a strong resume, there's a lot of opinions, and I guess all of this can be subjective, but when you're talking about the key elements of a resume, what's important to have on there? What would you say? Because I know people would sometimes say whether or not a subject or a summary or objective is necessary, how you should write your work experience. What do you believe are key elements to have on a resume that would be eye-catching in that first 6 to 8 seconds?
Yeah, great question. So this is going to vary slightly industry to industry. So definitely do your research and figure out what is relevant to your particular field. But in general, resumes consist of, your contact information needs to be on there so that the hiring team knows how to contact you. Your educational experience is typically on there somewhere, what's relevant to what the job is looking for, and then your relevant work experience. Now if you don't have relevant work experience yet, you can also leverage project experience or volunteer experience that you have. If let's say you're a student and you haven't been in the workforce yet, you can use significant projects that have skills that are relevant to the job that you're applying for. You can list out those projects there as well. So again, educational experience, work experience, or relevant skills are the major parts that you want to have listed on your resume.
And something that you mentioned that I do want to highlight is volunteer experience, right? So you said that sometimes we don't always have the professional or work experience in whatever we're applying for, but listing projects. A lot of us and the brethren here in the church who are actively involved with the CFO organizations and the societies that we have here do have experience with the planning of all of this. Can they use this experience in the performance of their duties also as something that they can add onto their resume?
Absolutely. And what's great is that a lot of the skills that we use to plan activities and different projects in the church are transferable in the workforce and actually give us great experience that we can use not only here at church, but in the professional sense as well. So you can definitely take any of your like project management experience or any of your planning skills that you use, organizational skills, even the technical skills that you gain, for example, using different applications or different tools that we use in order to execute different projects and activities are the same tools that we use in the professional sense. So you can definitely utilize that experience that you have and highlight that in your resume.
And that's something that you've also mentioned to me, and I felt like that was really useful, including that in my resume. I feel like personally, if I'm talking from my own experience, my resume is pretty diverse. I have a bachelor's, in music, and then most of my professional experience is in a general ed setting for a classroom, and then the field I'm in now is in the medical field. So it pretty jumps, excuse me, from like one place to another. But being able to also include the skill sets that I'm able to utilize in the performances of my duty and how it really all ties together. I felt like that was one of the best advices that I received from you when I was looking for a career shift. So I appreciate that. And I feel like that's something important for everyone to know. Macy, did you have something to jump in on? I see you nodding your head.
Oh, yes. No, Sister Angela, like I really love all the insights that you're giving right now. And our live audience are definitely like learning so many new things with what you're just saying. We have Brother Andrew. I'm just going to give a big shout out. Brother Andrew is from High Point in the Ecclesiastical District of Virginia. And he's actually surprised about the 6 to 8 seconds, as well as Sister Ina. We have quick tip here from our very own Mummy Mylene. She said 1-page minimalist resume for the accounting field, and what works for her is using buzzwords, to make the resume more noticeable. And to add on that, actually, for me personally, when we hire at my work, I am a big fan of 1-page resume, because then it takes away all the fluff. I want to see just the important things, and I want to see how your experience actually matches what I am looking for. So I just wanted to reiterate that for anyone looking for a job or preparing for a job, most hiring, whether they're headhunters or like the actual direct people hiring, like in our case, what we look for is how you're going to match into the job. The rest will probably be fluff. It'll help you, in some way, because then we can see like what are the things that you've worked for, how strong your certain skills are. So it's very important that you research the needs of the company that you're looking for and then tailor it to that. Like in the case of Sister Princess, you have a wide variety of experiences, right? But when you're targeting a specific job, make sure that your resume is also targeting their needs. So it's always like, here are your needs and here are my qualifications. Here's what I can do for you, because that's what you're doing. That's why you have your resumes. You're putting you're selling your brand to the company. Queeron actually has something here too, which I wanted to point out. Usually resumes now are scanned for certain keywords and picked out from there. And this will just continue to happen with the rise of artificial intelligence right now. More and more companies, including like ours, we utilize artificial intelligence to make the workload a lot easier. And now people can actually upload certain documents, any documents, like even if, say for in this case, maybe there are HR departments around the world now that would input these resumes into AI, and then AI will kind of like do the initial search. So definitely spend time in creating your resume, and not just don't do it on the fly or like just because. You have to be prepared for it.
No, 100%, especially with it going through these automated systems, right? So I kind of want to ask Sister Angela too, what are common mistakes that you feel like happen to go in a resume, or especially when it comes to like, even if it's technical, just for formatting or what have you? What would you say are some common mistakes?
Yeah, some of the common mistakes that I've come across when I'm like looking for candidates is just a lack of attention to detail. So, for example, typos or something as simple as like a formatting issue, that doesn't that to me speaks to that person's work ethic, which may or may not be an accurate representation of their work ethic, but that's your first impression, and that's the only shot that you get to make that first impression. So definitely attention to detail. Review it, use tools to make sure that you don't have any typo errors, that you don't have any mistakes in your timing for your previous work experience, because I'm as an interviewer, what I'm going to look at is do you know your own story? When I go in to interview you and I ask you about your previous experiences, I've read about it on your resume, and then when I'm asking you about it, I want to make sure that it matches, what you claimed on your resume. So things like that, attention to detail, and making sure that it's accurate and that it's an accurate representation of you.
Yes, 100%. And I do want to talk about some tips that we have from you, but we are also able to reach out to some of the brethren here in Mountain States. So we were able to reach out to Sister Riza Sanchez. She is from South Las Vegas, and she is a senior talent acquisition professional. And then we reached out to Brother EJ Dayrit, who is our CEA, SEA, or Christian Employee Association president. So these two we're able to share some tips that they have when it comes to building your resume. So Sister Riza said that you need to remember you're telling a story in 30 seconds to a few minutes. And just like Sister Angela mentioned, they go through it 6 to 8 seconds, And so you need to be concise and organize your resume that will highlight your work experience journey, like including dates and companies that are correct and shows the progression of your career. You need to put your most relevant experience at the top of the bullet points in each section of your work experience, and do not add too much fluff. Recruiters care more about what you've done. So adding pictures like "I'm a hard worker" won't really go as far. And if you're specialized in a field, you need to list your certifications in an easy to read format. Format. So, like IT verifications, medical license, certifications acquired through the year. So that's what Sister Riza gave. And from Brother EJ, his tips for resume building is tailor for impact, not just keywords. So instead of listing responsibilities, focus on measurable achievements and results. Use action verbs to quantify your impact, like increase team productivity by 30% through streamlined workflows. He said, 2, showcase your values. Dedicate a brief section to volunteer work or leadership in a faith-based community, such as, the Church of Christ. And this highlights your character and dedication to meaningful causes, and it sets you apart. And lastly, his last tip is design for readability. Make your resume visually appealing but professional, using clean formatting, bold headings, and leaving plenty of white space. A resume that's easy to scan ensures your accomplishments shine. So those are their tips. Sister Angela, what are some of your tips?
All of the above. And then I would also add to update your resume often, because in our day-to-day, we're constantly learning, we're constantly growing, and you want to make sure that your resume is an accurate snapshot of your skills and your, accomplishments. So if I'm working on a new project, I want to make sure that the skills that I've gained in working on that new project are accurately reflected on my resume. So update often.
Awesome. Any other tips, or is that all of the above?
The other tips I had, I think I've mentioned already. It's be concise, but strive for impact. Again, that 6 to 8 seconds is going to be key. So trimming out any of the fluff, and then also that details matter. So I went over that earlier.
100%. Awesome. Thank you. So now, we've submitted our resume, and look, we booked an interview. So I'm excited because now we need to prepare for this interview, right? So I want to talk about, the best way to prepare ourselves. And it's so important to be prepared, especially when you're interviewing. You have to make sure you do your proper research, right? So, Sister Angela, if I was going to you a year ago, what are your tips for our audience members when preparing for an interview?
Yes, well, congratulations on landing your interview, first of all. That's a huge milestone. So earlier we said the goal of the resume, right, was to, in that 6 to 8 seconds, create that impact. Now, so the resume shows your competence for the job. The interview is going to show your fit for the team and the company. So in the interview, you want to let your personality shine through. You want to be genuine, but you also want to show that you're professional, you're competent, and you're prepared. So like you mentioned, Sister Princess, you want to do your research on the company and on the role, not only so that you come prepared, but so that you can ask insightful questions that shows that you're interested and invested in the company. Because an interview is a two-way process. You will also have the opportunity and be expected to ask questions about the role and about the company to show, one, your personality, and two, that you're invested in the role and that you want to grow.
Mm-hmm. You know, that's really important because I also talked to Sister Pauline, and she's from Blue Diamond. She works in recruiting. That is her background. And she was a recruiting coordinator or talent acquisition coordinator. And so one thing that she also stressed to me was to have questions prepared, because not only is the interview for your employer or potential employer to see who you are, but you also want to make sure that the employer themselves are a right fit for you, similar to what you're saying. So I think that's something important, and that we sometimes overlook, or even often overlook, that you don't think of. You prepare so much for, how am I going to answer this? What questions are they going to ask me? That we tend to forget, I also have to prepare questions for them as well. And I think what was great in my personal experience in preparing questions was my now supervisor told me after the interview that I was the first person he had ever interviewed that asked the type of questions that I asked, which I'm grateful for, that I was able to prepare, because I feel like that's what set me apart from the other candidates who were also interviewing for this role. And so being able to have those really good questions prepared, especially when you're making your first physical impression, right? Your first impression is through your resume, but now you have to really show up and have this type of presence. How, Sister Angela, would you say makes a candidate stand out when it comes to first impressions when they're there in front of you? What do they typically do?
Yeah, it's a great balance between confidence and humility. So you want to show enough confidence to give your future prospective employer confidence in you that you're competent to, perform the role, but you don't want to come off overly confident to where you're not looking to grow, you're not looking to, that I think overconfidence can give the impression that you're limiting yourself. So you want to find that balance between, showing confidence that you can do the job, but showing enough humility that you want to grow within the role.
I love that. And I think that sometimes we get so caught up in selling ourselves, we forget to also say, hey, I want to join to also learn. I feel like that was also a big thing that played for myself, was because I had no experience in the medical field and shifting my career direction. I don't have the experience professionally in this workspace of, project management. So making sure that I had the skill set, but please also teach me is a way that I felt like helped me stand out from other candidates. Before we move on to our MTS challenge at the Macy, did you have anything that you wanted to add on when it comes to interview prep?
Oh, yes, absolutely. One of the tips is always have your notes in front of you when you're interviewing, especially if it's a video interview, right? Because then, you can at least have them in front of you on the table. And if you are interviewing like in front of a panel, it's not against any rule to have a notebook close by, right? It also shows your preparedness. Make sure that you know everything that's in your resume. You know it by heart. If you don't have a copy of your resume, you know all those information by heart, because of course they might ask questions about you. The questions that you have, prepare them beforehand, even though in the interview it can also be spontaneous and it could be a two-way process, but you have to be prepared with intelligent questions that you want to ask to the employer. I also want to acknowledge our team live chat. They're all very engaged right now. Sister Princess, really quick, Brother Jay De La Cruz says, happy viewing, full, and a greeting to our brother Marlon Balason and Sister Ate Donna from the District of San Diego County, California. And I think that is in the District of Northern California. We have some of our brethren here, just giving you a big shout out, a fantastic episode. Please share this YouTube link with anyone searching for a job. Thank you so much, Bo. We appreciate that you appreciate our episode for today. Our sister Mylene also mentioned save the soft skills for the interview and only highlight education, training, and experiences on the resume. And there's one here that really stood out. Sister Princess, Brother Mark B said the best tip for job hunting is panata or devotional prayer, which of course we all agree on, and we will get to that in a little bit. But you can tell from our team live chat today, especially from our brethren who have been in the workforce for a long time, that they have such a wealth of knowledge that they can share to our job hunters this afternoon. So thank you all.
Thank you, Ate. All right. Well, now moving on to our MTS challenge. Let's hear it.
MTS Challenge.
All right. So, Sister Angela, you have landed an interview for a clinical research roles. So we're excited to interview you. And so for today's MTS challenge, I have 5 commonly asked questions in an interview. So what's so great about artificial intelligence is that there's these programs and systems that you could utilize to assist you in your preparation. And so I just went into a website that uses AI, and all I asked was, please, what did I ask you, AI? I asked, please give me 5 commonly asked questions. I'm so sorry, my dog is here. 5 commonly asked questions in an interview. So let's ask Sister Angela, and I did not tell her what these questions were ahead of time. So let's see how well she answers these. And again, this is for clinical research, and my dog is my assistant here, and he's going to be interviewing you as well. All right, Sister Angela. So tell me about yourself.
Oh, well, thank you, first of all, for interviewing me today. My background is in computer science. I studied computer science back in college. And then my first few positions out of school were patient-facing roles. So I was a clinical research coordinator for X number of years. You would, fill that in here. And in those roles, I did X, Y, and Z. And what I really enjoyed about those roles was it gave me a first look at what clinical research is, and it exposed me to the entire process as a whole. And in doing that, I learned that I was more interested on the data management side. So I decided to pivot. And from there, I worked at XYZ for XYZ. And from there, I really honed in on my technical skills. And I found that I wanted to create systems that made it easier for clinical research coordinators to do their jobs. So in my next role, I'm looking to blah, blah, blah. I'm looking to continue with X, Y, and Z and really use the technical skills that I've learned to develop systems and processes that will help clinical research coordinators.
Wow, I love the progression of your career. It's quite interesting. So, really, I want to know what your strengths and weaknesses are when it comes to executing your role. So you yourself, what are your strengths and weaknesses?
I would just say one of my strengths is my constant desire to learn. So I think that has carried me really far, and that has helped me to overcome a lot of the challenges that we see in day-to-day work in clinical research. It has made me resourceful and resilient. So when I find myself up against the wall and not knowing what the next steps are, I have developed the skills to be able to figure out who to ask next and what resources I have at my disposal so that I can, figure out what my next steps are. So not necessarily needing to know everything, but knowing the right people and knowing what resources I have that I can use to get to the next step. And I would say one of my weaknesses is, in wanting to learn and constantly grow, sometimes that requires me to take on a workload that may not be ideal. So I've also learned how to prioritize and how to work with my managers to determine what tasks need to take priority.
Awesome. That's great. So tell me, why here? Why do you want to work for our company?
Well, what stood out about your company specifically was your core values of X, Y, and Z. I think that really aligns with where I want to go in my career. I'm really looking to make an impact, not only within clinical research, but specifically within what your company does. And I just feel like for my next steps in terms of my growth, this position specifically would launch me into that next phase of my career.
I see. Sometimes in our company, we do come across pretty challenging situations. So can you describe to me a time that you were faced with a challenging situation and how you were able to handle it?
Yeah, so I'm sure as you're used to working in the day-to-day in clinical research, we have a lot of competing deadlines and a lot of competing priorities. And sometimes priorities within the day pop up that, that need our attention. So I think one challenge that I've overcome is in managing those competing priorities, learning who I need to the stakeholders that are at play. So who I need to talk to in order to make that right decision, and just making sure everybody is informed and that I'm transparent with my entire team and everyone that's involved, so that when I make a decision on what task to prioritize, we're all moving in the same direction.
I see. And so, just to conclude our interview, I know that you've had a lot of progression with your career itself. So where do you see this progression going in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, I've spent the last maybe 2.5 years really honing in on my technical skills, but now I want to shift more in my leadership skills. So I'm hoping to grow into a people manager role so that I can take what I've learned and also mentor those that are just learning or just breaking into this industry. And so I hope to really leverage my new role in developing those people leadership skills.
Awesome. Well, Angela, I appreciate, your time. We wanted to end this with any questions that you may have for us?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, what does success look like in this role? How would you describe someone who would be successful or a good fit for this role?
Someone who would be a good fit for this role, and the way we would define success is similar to what you said, really somebody who's constantly looking for learning opportunities. Success is really objective. It's not just about accomplishments themselves or milestones themselves. I feel like success can also be defined by learning from our mistakes. And at times we don't always meet our expectations. So what I find someone to be successful is somebody who can take those what quote unquote failures and learn from those and pick themselves back up, and also use those opportunities to share with their surrounding colleagues, and altogether just continually lifting each other up, and being able to help not just themselves be successful, but everybody else around them.
Awesome. Thank you. And then just one more question. I know that you've been at this company for over 15 years. What is your favorite part about working for this company, and what's kept you here so long?
So clinical research is something that I didn't expect to get into. But what I love the most, honestly, is learning from others. Like I said, when you're talking about, clinical research, there's so much that has to go through this, go on clinical research. And so being able to find people who know more than me is something that I love, because I never want to be the smartest person in the room. I always want to be able to have somebody next to me who I know that I can go to when I want to learn something new or when I'm facing a challenge. So just, again, the learning opportunities that this company has provided me is something that I love the most. And that's something that I hope will continue to push through in the years to come.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time, and I look forward to hearing from you in the future.
Thank you, Angela, for your time as well. Wow, good job.
Okay, I'll go ahead and hire Sister Angela now. Okay, you're hired.
You know, I forgot that you have to ask me questions too, and I'm like, I don't know how to do clinical research. No, that was amazing, you know. And I'm glad. And again, Sister Angela did not know the questions beforehand. Neither did I know her 2 questions after. So I hope that
was really amazing. That was really good interview role play and very eloquent. I think it's very important. Hey, Brother Jeff Fernandez actually added here too. I guess this would be a tip for the interview part. He said a good follow-up question is there anything that makes you hesitate about my candidacy for this role? Right? How would I best reassure you about my qualifications? So it's like giving the challenge back to them. Okay, well, now you know me. You've seen everything that I can do, my entire work experience. What else are your hesitations? You know, let me address those. Let me give you confidence that I'm the right person for this, right? Thank you, Brother Jeff. That was really good.
You know, we are going to go to a short station break, and we're going to kind of brief on our interview. But before we do go on a break, Brother Jeff, I just want to mention that was actually one of the questions that I asked my now supervisor. I told him, you know, with my work experience primarily being in education, with none in the medical field, is there anything on my resume that makes you hesitant for me as a candidate? And so he was kind of taken aback during the interview, and that's when he was saying, like, I never had somebody ask me that before. So that is a very, very great question to ask, because it really makes the employer think, or the interviewer think. So great for sharing. So again, we are going to go on a short station break. When we come back, we're going to brief on our interview with Sister Angela and talk about the outcomes of what could happen after your interview. So again, we'll be right back. Please continue to stay tuned.
You are listening to Iglesianicristo Radio, the voice of truth.
Time is passing by so fast. Everyone is in a rush, hurrying to achieve their goals, rushing to accomplish everything we need. At every tick of the clock, people tend to worry about their everyday living. Due to that, we are led to get pressured with our responsibilities in life. As we sojourn in this world, it seems like we are having a race against the clock. But I am grateful because while everyone is rushing with their appointments, my alarm reminds me to kneel and pray. The time when my faith will be all the more strengthened, the love of God will be felt, and my hope will be increased. As members of the Church of Christ, our services to our Almighty God are always our top priority. We are confident because of our Lord God. We always trust in, believe in, and rely on what God can do for us, and that is why we are assured in everything. So don't worry, do not be bothered. Keep your faith strong, spread love, and be hopeful.
Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for that short promotional video from Mediterranean, INC Radio Mediterranean. So moving forward with our topic discussion, we want to brief a little bit on our interview. Sister Angela, how do you think our interview went? Did you think it was a good one?
It felt like a real interview. I found myself getting tongue-tied every now and then. I mean,
honest, you were a little flustered.
A little bit, yeah.
You know what? It's because I didn't really prep you for it. It was kind of a spot-on interview. But, you know, for a spot-on interview like that, I think it went pretty well. You think?
Yeah. And I think that even though I wasn't using real experiences, I tried to show the format of what I try to do in my interview responses, which is, like Sister Riza mentioned, you're trying to tell a story about your experiences. For me, I used to definitely struggle with the tell me about yourself question because it's so broad. But what interviewers are looking for is like, not just like, tell me about yourself, like, what are your hobbies? They're asking about what experience is relevant to the role, and what they're looking at how you're going to paint your broad story to where it will show that you're a good fit for the role.
that was also something that it took me a long while to figure out what to say whenever I was asked, tell me about yourself. And again, with my experience being so diverse and having such a wide variety, what I ended up doing was having a short beginning, middle, and end to what I wanted to convey. So my beginning of my tell me about yourself was a brief sentence or two about my experience, and then how it could be transferable to the role I was applying to, ending it with what I have to offer and how I could be a valuable asset to the company itself. So coming up with a story for yourself and making it something that's brief but catching is really helpful. And it does take a lot of preparation for that. So that's something you do have to practice, and not necessarily like rehearse word for word, but rehearsing it does help, because you want to make sure once an interviewer asks you, tell me about yourself, you already know immediately what to say, and you're not kind of fumbling or going on this tangent about all the years of experience, because they already have your resume. They have it, you just need to make yourself really stand out in that first 30 seconds. And some of the tips I did want to share from Sister Riza and Brother EJ, they gave for interview prep, know how to describe yourself. This is from Sister Riza, how to describe yourself in a concise way, something we've mentioned, right? Talking too much about things that are not relevant will not help the hiring team figure out if you're qualified for the role. Practice sharing examples of what you've done to what's relevant to the question. Like, quote unquote, I put together a business strategy that included managing cross-functional teams, which resulted in saving the company X amount of dollars. Also understand what the job entails so that you can make sure you mention your relevant experience and know who you are professionally. How are you a team player? Are you more of a leader or a contributor? Your strengths and weaknesses as well. So making sure that you're ready to give those types of examples. And something, if you didn't already notice with Sister Angela's answer, her weakness was a positive that she also was able to show how she's working on it. And that's something that's important. You don't want to say, well, I'm late to work all the time, so you want to make sure you give a quality or a trait that you have that you're also continuously working on when you present an example of a weakness. And then she also mentions, energy, come with good energy. People want good people to work with. Be aware of the team as well. In asking them questions, you want to work with a specific manager or this team, and do not be disheartened if you do not get the job. And this is something we're going to talk about in just a bit. So this is one of the tips she shared. So with Brother EJ, his 3 tips is tell stories, not just answer. So again, being concise and using a STAR method. So if they ask you to give you a situation or tell them a situation that you were in, STAR method is situation, task, action, and result. So what was the situation at hand? What was the task, or what were you responsible for? What action did you take? And then the result of that, of everything. So that would also help your answer. 2, bring fresh insights by researching the company deeply and identifying any recent challenge or opportunities they faced, and propose a creative idea or approach that you could bring to the table. This shows initiative and critical thinking. And lastly, pray for clarity and confidence. So before your interview, of course, always pray for guidance, humility, and the ability to show your God-given talents with confidence. This helps you center your thoughts and align your goals with your faith. So, Sister Angela, one thing that scares a lot of us, and even at the Macy, that you can chime in as well, is dealing with the rejection of the interview. Sometimes there's always that one specific job that's your dream job that you really want, and you don't get it. What do you do then? Sister Angela, why don't you go first and give us your opinion?
Yeah, so I think everyone's familiar with that. I know I myself am familiar with that situation. I have a couple tips. One is to give yourself some space and time to feel the rejection. It's okay. It's okay to feel disappointed, but don't let it linger for too long. Because 2, ultimately, just remember that it's not a rejection, it's a redirection. So there is something. There might be something. There is something better for you out there. There is something that's going to be a better fit for you and for your career and for your story that maybe you just didn't see yet, or maybe you won't understand until you're further down the line and looking in retrospect as to why this didn't work out. But I guarantee you, if you don't get a position, it's not the best one for you.
100%. At the Macy, do you have something that you would also like to share with us?
Yes, rejection, is never fun, right? I myself dealt with those years ago. And it's really like having that faith that at the end of the day, it's our Almighty God that gives us the direction, and it's
Mhm.
the Almighty God that tells us what's best for us. So if you just trust that and you trust that process, if this job that you really, really, really wanted for, and you did devotional prayers for, didn't land on you, then that means something better is waiting for you on the other side of the road. So
Oh,
don't you worry. And actually, Sister Princess, while we're on this topic of rejection too, I love how everyone in Team Live Chat, if you browse through, our brethren are currently just encouraging each other regarding their dream jobs. And I love it so much. As Sister Vanessa said, from North Las Vegas, being in the leadership in the church really helps you to have skills for the job as well. Brother Anthony was sharing us about his future plans of maybe taking in a managerial role from a technical role. And everyone in the Team Live Chat is supporting him on that. I just love that, how
yes.
we're able to, show our love of the brotherhood here. And Sister Leanna from Henderson also mentioned, well, this current topic that we're talking about is also helpful for those who are trying to get back in the workforce after the kids have grown. So not just necessarily to those that are, looking jobs for the first time or preparing for their dream jobs, but even those that are trying to make a comeback after a little pause or a little break. So again, everyone's appreciative and supportive of each other. Thank you.
I'm so happy that this is a beneficial topic for everybody who's tuning in. And I love the support coming in from the live chat because I'm also reading through it. At one point, I saw Atemani because Brother Anthony was saying that he wasn't confident to apply to something. And in all capital letters, she goes, I think you should go for it. But even if you are underqualified or feel you are underqualified, always apply for the role anyway, because you never know. And nobody, one thing, Sir
But
Angela,
did they say, right? You miss 100% of the chance you didn't take.
exactly. And again, when there's always that room for for growth there. So if there's something that you feel like you're lacking in, that's something that you could probably grow in if you just applied for this role, and you might get it. You never know. So always just trusting God's plan, and just going for it. You really never know. And if it's not something that you do end up getting, like everyone here has mentioned, and Sister Riza said, like, don't be disheartened if you do not get the job, because God's plan is better than ours. And the job is, if it's meant for you, it's meant for you. And if not, then there's always going to be something better. There isn't an if, but there will be something better. Just to conclude our discussion, we wanted to emphasize how important preparation is. Preparation is a key element to success, but the greatest key of all is, of course, always trusting our Lord God's plans, right? And preparing for our careers, our dream roles, our dream jobs, we should always trust that our Almighty God will guide us to the career that is best for us. Only then will we receive success and his blessings. I really am so glad that this was a topic that was helpful to our live chat, our viewers. Sister Angela, thank you for joining us today. Your insight was amazing, and this is something we will be able to share to watch later on. And Sister Macy, thank you for your insight as well. So we really appreciate all of those who tune in, and even those in the live chat who gave their insight as well and share their opinions on this topic. It was very helpful. I saw a lot from Brother Jeff, too, was giving a lot of advice, so we appreciate that. Of course, we are so grateful that all of you continue to watch us here on INCRadio. We hope we hope to see you next week, Saturday, for our next broadcast, the same time, 4 p.m. Pacific time. And we want to shout out everybody who was in the live chat or who is still in the live chat engaging with us. It's always so fun to have you all here with us. But of course, we could never forget to thank our beloved church administration. A special thanks, especially to Brother Eduardo B. Manalo, our executive minister, and Brother Angelo Arano Manalo, our CEO, president of SEBC, and CFO coordinator. We would like to give special thanks as well to Brother Wally Sarai, our INC radio station manager, Brother Emmanuel Andaya, our executive producer, Brother Marlon Belason, our district minister, Brother Oliver Canlas, our assistant district minister, Brother Jay Agustin, our CFO overseer, Brother Justin Ramos, our district multimedia advisor, all of the district multimedia team, and of course, all of you, our avid listeners of INC Radio. That is all the time that we have. We thank you so much for watching and listening here on INC Radio Mountain States. Please continue to stay tuned on INC Radio DZEM 954, changing lives through God's words. We appreciate all of you. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
See you. Sister
Thanks,
Arj is
everyone.
watching us. We miss you, Arj. She's in the district of Benguet. Hello to you.
This is INC Radio, DZEM 954, the voice of truth, the official radio station of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.